take a look at how we're going to do our first images. Images are a little bit different because images are not actually something you put into the page. It's something you link into the page. They're uploaded as a separate image, a separate resource, and then you put it into the page, which is actually why downloading them is so easy on the internet. So let's take a look at how this is going to work. We're going to take a look at the assignment, which is, let's take a look at the assignment from the student preview. So this is how it's going to look for you. You're going to choose 2 pages to integrate photos. You can take any 2 pages. I'm going to make some up. And you're going to use Photopea if you want to crop and adjust it. So I'll show you how Photopea works. We're going to upload photos to the workspace, code the text for the pages, and then integrate those photos. So just follow along, and we're going to do it. I'm going to open the assignment workspace, and here I have my information here. You'll notice that we're in revision 2. We're in the newer version of this particular item, and you'll see that what we have here is actually 2 full pages, and I've given you some notes right here so you can understand what you're staring at. And then you have this little file organizer here. You actually have 2 pages in there, the first 2 pages, and they're already redone for you. And I'll show you how this works. I'll even show you how to organize all of it. Move me over here. This thing right down here on the bottom where you preview the web page, that's also going to become important because you're going to have some new things open. Let's follow the directions. It's one of the important things about this. You have to follow the directions, and there's several pages. So when you ask for questions, I'm going to make you read the directions to me and tell me what you think those mean. And that's where we're going to start our work together because you can figure this out. Now, use 2 pages to integrate photos. So I've got 2 in here, right? And it says use copyright-free photos. So I'm going to go find my photos by going over to here and doing an image search. Now let's say I wanted to do something called a web page. And I want to have an image of a web page. I'll do an image search for web page. Right? Now, all of these are web pages. But if you remember my instructions, the instructions were use copyright-free photos. So how do I get that? I go to this thing called Tools. And then I go to this thing called Usage Rights. And I'm going to want you to say Creative Commons licenses. The Creative Commons licenses, it tends to be stuff that is free and clear as far as using a web page, or using as a web page, using images. So right now, right over here, these are licensable. These aren't great to get, but I've got like this image right here, and I'm going to download this image right here by right-clicking and going to Save Image As. And I'm going to call it webpage PNG, or webpage.jpg is what I'm going to call it, webpage.jpg. And I'm going to put it there, webpage.jpg. See where it's called webpage.jpg? You see exactly how it's spelled, right? Now, what if I wanted to do something with it? What if I wanted to crop it? Because this image right here, it's kind of big, all right? It's going to be really big on my page. So I want to make it smaller, or I want to play with it a little bit. Well, to do that, I gave you a link to this software called Photopea. If you click on that, it'll actually open up Photopea. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to open it up in a new, sorry, give me a second. I'm going to open it up in a new page. I'm going to right-click and open it in a new tab. Photopea is an online photo editor. This looks, you're going to say, gee, Mr. Tush, this looks a lot like Photoshop. Photopea is a really neat little free software that does look a lot like Photoshop. So if I wanted to open up something here, I could open it, and I could do a whole new lesson in this. If you take graphic design with Miss Lesser, she does a lot of work with this and then gets you into the Photoshop. But I'm going to open up this thing. It says web page, and it's actually, so you know, it's actually pretty large. Dimensions 1024 by 768. These pixels here, these are my dimensions. It's rather large, but I'm going to upload it. Hang on, I'm going to be on that. I'm going to upload it now. And it's been uploaded here, and I'm uploaded as a PSD. I'm going to actually export it. I'm going to export as a JPEG. And the width, I'm going to change the width to 500. And that'll be 500 by 375. And I'm going to click Save for Web. And I'm going to call this web page -500. And it will save as a JPEG.jpg. And there it is. That's the webpage.jpg. So I've kind of created my own image, all right? I could do other things with this. I could crop it differently using the crop tool. I could do kinds of different healings. I could write text over it and put little text objects over it. I can do a lot of things with it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do that simple edit. Now, the next thing I have to do is use Photopea to crop it and upload the photos to the workspace. Well, look what we have here. We have this thing called Upload right here. And I'm going to click on Upload File. And webpage-500.jpg is the one we use. You see it's a smaller version right here. It says dimensions are 500 by 375. So I'm uploading that smaller file right there. Now, so far, I'm going to call this my web page sample. So I'm going to change my title of this page to web page sample. All right. And if I want to see this web page, I actually have to go here to where it says view web page. And the temptation is going to be to click it right here and it'll come up with the console version, right? The shell. Nope, watch this. Go down to here and click on this button right here. And it opens it up in a new page. So you see it says hello world, page text goes here and it says web page sample right up here. And when I changed the title and it said web page sample, if I go ahead and change this to web page sample 1 just for argument's sake, it actually refreshes itself and it now calls itself web page sample 1. So I don't have to do a lot of changes to this. It'll actually update the page as I go. So if I wanted to go and say, here is my first image, I can go in here and I can say, here is my first image. And I go back to this page and it actually refreshes itself. It says, here's my first image. Now, right underneath it, I'm going to want to put my image code. Now, how does image code work? Wait, Mr. Tush, you're taking a long time. It says code the text for the pages. So we coded the text. And I'll look down here and I'll say, I'm very proud of this. All right, Mr. Tush, get me to the page. How does it say? I'm very proud of this. How do I get the image in there? I'm going to put the image right here on line 11. And the way it works is this. I have it right here under images. It's a tag. You have to start with a image and then you close it. And unlike the other tabs, it actually closes itself. Remember how we told you that if you open it, you have to close it. If you open an H1, you close an H1. If you open a P, you close a P. If you open HTML, you close it. This time around, for an image source, special coding for images. You're going to start with the bracket image tag. So I'm going to start with that right here. I'm going to put in, right in this spot, boom, IMG. And it lets me put that in, right? And then I'm going to actually put in a space. And the next thing it asks for is and I'll make this right next to it, asks for the source equals in a quote, right? SRC equals quote. SRC equals quote. And then you'll notice that it gives you both sides of the quote. We're actually going to call it whatever this is, which is web page -500.jpeg. And that has to be absolutely perfect, all right? So you have to make sure that it says that exactly. So if I click open the file, there it is, web page, JPG, not JPEG. So let's go back to that. So I'll go correct my page, my first page, my bad. And it's JPG. All right. Then what does it tell me to code to? It tells me to put in an alt text. Alt text is text that describes the image, and it's for people who are visually impaired, and it lets it read. So this is alt equals quote. This is a picture of a web page. So that if somebody were visually impaired, they could still see my website because their reader would read this to them. And then the last thing it tells me to put in is /brackets. Let's give that a shot. Go right back to it, /bracket. Let's take a look at what the web page looks like. Oops, there it is. Very, very cool. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you about in here, and I will add this to what's there, is you can change the image sizes. So I can change the image size inside the code in addition to doing it outside the code. So I can go right in here and right after the title number right here, I can put in width, width, and I could put in equals, and I can put in quotes, 300 pixels, 3,000 pixels, and space. Now look what happens. It actually shrunk it, okay? So it can be 300 pixels wide. And if I go in and I add the code for height equals, quote, 250 pixels, close quote. Let's see what happens to it. That actually makes it a little bit smaller still. So all of these different changes happen in real time. And I switch back and forth between them to see how my pages work. So you're going to add the code for all of that. You're going to change the coding in here, and I'm going to be able to look at your pages right here with this information loaded in. Your job is to upload photos to the workspace, choose the text, integrate photos to the two pages. When it's all done, you're going to click this thing here that says submit, and submitting the code will run, will tell me that you're ready to hand it in. So when you're done, click submit. That's how you're going to add images to your first web page. Good luck.